History remembers empires by their monuments, but empires are truly decided by their ledgers. And in the ancient world, a single afternoon of bad weather could erase a century of economic glory. We are told that the gold of Ophir made the unified kingdom of Israel an untouchable, eternal superpower. We read of the ivory thrones, the golden shields, and the absolute monopoly on the luxury trade of the Indian Ocean. But the text contains a hidden, cataclysmic turning point that history books routinely skip over. A single naval catastrophe so violent, so sudden, and so total that it did not just sink a fleet, it permanently broke the spine of an empire. In a matter of hours, a multi-ton armada of the largest, most expensive warships ever constructed was reduced to splintered driftwood on a jagged reef. The wealth of a nation was cast into the surf, and a kingdom was plunged into instant, irreversible bankruptcy. This is not the story of Solomon's triumph. This is the story of his descendants' desperate, fatal gamble, the untold disaster of the lost fleet of Tarshish. To understand the disaster, we must look at a kingdom already fracturing at the seams. It is a century after Solomon. The Golden Age is a fading memory. The empire has split into two rival, bitter factions, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. In Jerusalem sits King Jehoshaphat. His treasury is dangerously low. His borders are pressed by hostile neighbors, and the legendary influx of maritime wealth has completely dried up. The old Phoenician alliances have rotted away. Jehoshaphat looks south, toward the abandoned, sand-choked ruins of Ezion-geber. He realizes that the only way to save his collapsing economy is to resurrect the ghost fleet of his ancestors. He must reopen the black waters of the Red Sea. But he makes a critical, desperate error. Instead of hiring the elite master shipwrights of Phoenicia, Jehoshaphat attempts a domestic manufacturing miracle. He forces landsmen, local carpenters who had only ever built houses, plows, and siege engines out of brittle local timber, to build deep-sea dreadnoughts. They are building machines of war and trade out of raw desperation. The shipyard at Ezion-geber becomes a frantic, sweating industrial nightmare. The air is thick with the acrid stench of burning pine tar and the deafening roar of iron adzes hacking away at subpar wood. But Jehoshaphat's domestic workforce is failing. They do not know the mathematics of the hull. They do not understand how a ship must flex against the violence of the open sea. In his panic, Jehoshaphat seals an unholy economic pact with King Ahaziah of Israel, a northern ruler condemned by the Orthodox priests for his worship of foreign gods. It is a partnership born of pure financial greed. The north provides the funding and rogue sailors. The south provides the port. The Orthodox prophets warn of divine fury, their voices echoing off the limestone cliffs surrounding the Gulf. They scream that a fleet built on spiritual compromise and structural ignorance is doomed from the moment its keel touches the brine. But the kings turn their backs to the prophets. The ledger demands gold. The hulls must be launched. What walked out of the desert docks were not agile merchant boats. They were massive, top-heavy variants of the ships of Tarshish. Because they lacked the premium cedar of Lebanon, these vessels were constructed from heavy, unseasoned local oaks and coarse acacia. They were reinforced with thick iron bolts and sealed with layers of black, boiling pitch that bubbled and hissed under the blistering desert sun. They were built wide and deep, designed to hold an unimaginable volume of cargo, thousands of pounds of provisions, weapons, and the heavy stone ballasts required to keep them upright. A total of dozens of these wooden monsters are pushed into the treacherous waters of the Gulf of Aqaba. To the investors standing on the cliffs, the sight is magnificent. Crimson flags flutter against the stark blue sky. The holds are packed with the last of Judah's national wealth, refined silver, fine linens, and agricultural goods meant to be traded for the legendary gold of Ophir. It is a literal floating treasury. Everything the kingdom has left is riding on these hulls.
The fleet never even makes it to the open ocean. It never sees the Gate of Tears. It never reaches the wealthy shores of Ophir. The Gulf of Aqaba is a geographical death trap. It is a narrow, deep trench flanked on both sides by towering, sheer mountain walls. When the cold air from the northern Mediterranean rushes south, it enters these mountain passes like a funnel, transforming into a violent, concentrated windstorm known as the Isla. The storm strikes without warning. The sky turns the color of bruised iron. The ships, top-heavy and manned by inexperienced crews, are caught entirely unprepared. The massive square sails, meant to catch a steady breeze, become lethal liabilities. The wind catches the canvas with the force of a battering ram, snapping thick pine masts like twigs. The heavy, unseasoned acacia hulls groan under the sudden immense torque of the waves. Water begins to breach the seams, mixing with the dry dust of the holds. Inside the hulls, the voyage transforms into a chaotic, terrifying slaughter. The heavy stone ballasts shift in the dark, pinning sailors against the wooden ribs. The stench of fear, wet pitch, and salt water fills the suffocating air. The captains try to drop their massive stone anchors, but the floor of the Gulf drops off into a sheer, bottomless abyss. There was nothing for the iron chains to grip. The violent northern gale drives the helpless armadas backwards, pushing them directly toward the jagged, razor-sharp coral reefs and rocky shoals lining the shore of Ezion-geber. The impact is catastrophic. The sound of oak shattering against ancient coral sounds like a succession of thunderclaps. The heavy ships are literally broken in two. The boiling surf turns black with pitch, floating timber, and the bodies of hundreds of drowned soldiers and landsmen. The entire economic future of the kingdom is ground into dust against the rocks in a matter of hours. When the storm clears, the silence on the shore is deafening. The biblical record delivers the final verdict with cold, brutal brevity. Jehoshaphat made ships of Tarshish to go to Ophir for gold, but they went not, for the ships were broken at Ezion-geber. This was not just a tragic maritime accident, it was a sovereign bankruptcy. The sheer capital required to build and outfit the armada had completely drained the royal treasury. The trade goods were lost, the ships were gone, the skilled manpower was dead at the bottom of the Gulf. King Ahaziah of Israel immediately sends a frantic messenger to Jehoshaphat, offering to finance a second fleet, begging to try again, but Jehoshaphat refuses. The psychological and financial trauma of the disaster is too absolute. The dream of an ocean-bound empire is dead. Judah is forced to withdraw inward, defaulting on its debts, becoming a vulnerable, impoverished vassal state. The port of Ezion-geber was abandoned forever. The desert sun baked the remaining timbers left on the sand, and the shifting dunes slowly buried the slipways and the charcoal remains of the blacksmith's fires. For centuries, the ocean kept the secret of the disaster. The coral reefs grew over the iron bolts, and the deep currents swept away the last traces of the broken armadas. The lost fleet of Tarshish reminds us that history is fragile, volatile, and decided in a single, unyielding moment. If you want to uncover more of these forgotten, catastrophic turning points that changed the world forever, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and tell us in the comments what hidden history we should unearth next.